Hello and welcome to the video regarding connecting your NovaBACKUP PC Server Business Essentials client to the CMon. CMon is the new central monitoring console application that Nova Store released recently, June of 2016. This CMon will only work with version 18 of the client software, so 18 and above. So at this point we're going to get started. We're going to load NovaBACKUP, as you can see in front of us, and this is version 18. We're going to load NovaBACKUP, and then we're going to go to the top left of the program, the large circle Nova Store logo button, and then click Default Settings. Once inside Default Settings, we're going to get a Management Server tab. Click on Management Server. At this point, we have server name. Now, server name is the IP address or fully qualified domain name of the computer that is hosting the CMon application. CMon is what you installed earlier, and that is a separate video you can watch. And that IP address is going to be found if you go to the machine that you installed CMon on and you look at, you say IP config or just in the network properties of that machine. At this point, what I'm going to do is key in the IP address that I utilized when I went and installed CMon on my separate computer. That computer has to be a server operating system, so server 2008 R2 or server 2012. And so this is the IP address entry. We're going to enter there. Port number, you can leave it the same unless you custom configure the CMon during the installation of the CMon to be a different port number than the default. Default is 4502. Leave that the same. Default group is not something that you can actually configure, so leave that standard blank. Once you're done configuring the IP address, you can click Start Service. Now, Start Service just goes to the local system and makes a backup client startup service be, instead of manual start, it's going to be automatic delayed start. And at this point, I can then click the OK button to save the changes. That's a one-time setting, has to be done per backup client, meaning PC Server Business Essentials software, that one-time configuration value for it to get connected to the CMon and show up inside the CMon. At this point, you can exit out of NovaBACKUP or leave it running in the foreground is fine too. At this point, I'm going to load up my web browser, and that's in front of us here. We can simulate logging on, so admin is the default username, and admin is the default password, lowercase on both of those. You can click the Remember Me box if you would wish to. Login. That's going to show the dashboard screen by default. Now, at this point, the CMon is not going to show any logs in regards to the machine that I just connected. The machine that I just connected, meaning the agent, the backup client, the computer name on that machine was AG-WS-John. And at this point, I can see that if I go to Agents and Groups to make sure that my machine is actually communicating to the CMon now that we configured in the first step. We can see here at the top, it's always going to show the latest connected clients, meaning the latest machines that you put into configure to connect to the CMon. They're always going to be at the top. They're always going to be in the pending group. Pending group is the only group that CMon ships with by default. You can, however, make however many groups you would want to, and categorize your agents that way in custom groups. Very simple to do that. Just to show you here, it's going to mention the version number of every agent that's connecting. I also have the ability to edit, delete this agent if I want to. I can double click on the agent. It's the same as edit, and see various properties, meaning the version, the license type. Here there's Business Essentials for this, but it does work with PC or server. And at this point at the top, you're going to see group. Group pending means that is how it should have worked. It only has one group, and that's where it puts all your agents, unless you do add a custom group and then move it. So at this point, what I want to do, and you're going to see here, I'm not going to have any ability to move it right now because I don't have any other groups created. To add a group, come here to the Add Group button, top right. And at this point, we're going to give it a group name called Alpha, and just copy and paste the alpha down into the description field. Parent group isn't useful because we don't have any other groups other than pending right now. Parent group would be, we could say create. If it already had an alpha group and we're creating, say, a beta here, we could select alpha and it would create a beta underneath the alpha grouping. So it's sort of like a subfolder. So at this point, we're going to click Add to create the alpha group. and that says group added successfully. That's good. And here at the top we see our most recent group added. I believe it's alphabetical order as well. So at this point, what I'm going to do is going to find AGWS-John again, double click on him or do an edit. I'll do an edit in this example. And now we're going to go to group again near the top here and pick alpha. That's because we were able to create that alpha group earlier in the prior step. Click update. And what that just did, agent updated successfully. That just moved AGWS-John into the alpha grouping here. So that's the basics of adding your client, meaning your backup software, into the CMon. Now that that computer's added, I can go look at the logs. At this point, it may not show any logs, keep in mind, because I only added that client recently and I haven't started any new jobs and completed any new jobs on that machine. Here it's showing some, if I click on the completed successfully naming here, it's going to show me that I do have a few jobs for that agent show up here highlighted. If I want to see the newest job, I can, to make sure this is working, so we have 3 entries here. To make sure this is working, I can switch back to the backup software, go and run a job from the schedule tab, say yes to run it. It did complete successfully, and I can see the log here. It did complete successfully. Close that log, switch back to the CMon. Now it might take a couple of minutes for that new entry to show up. Here we show the 3 entries that were prior. So if I refresh the screen by hitting the F5 key in my browser, or say right-clicking and doing a refresh, or reload in this case for Google Chrome, and then I go to the completed successfully naming tag here. So we do see that 4th new entry show up at the time that I just ran it just now. We had 3 entries prior, now we have 4. So if I click on that actual entry, I can see the log. This is just a breakdown of if there were any errors or warnings or messages, and also tells you how long it took at the top here. So in my case, it was a very simple backup job. It only took 1 second, but it was successful. Okay, and then that's taking care of connecting your backup agent, your backup software, to the CMon. Thank you, and you check out the other videos that we have regarding the CMon. The other video would be on how to install the CMon. Thank you for your time.